Well, a sudden about-face from the New York mayor's office. On Monday, Mayor Bloomberg suggested that the Times Square bomb attempt, this is before we knew who was behind it, could have been the work of certain right-wingers.
If I had to guess 25 cents, this would be exactly that. Somebody who's homegrown, maybe a mentally deranged person or somebody with a political agenda that doesn't like the health care bill or something. It could be anything.
Someone who doesn't like the health care bill. Well, on Tuesday, after finding out that the suspect was from Pakistan, was not somebody who had feelings necessarily about the health care bill, he did not apologize for those remarks. Instead, he said this.
I want to make clear that we will not tolerate any bias or backlash against Pakistani or Muslim New Yorkers.
Well, joining us now, Jennifer Miller-Wise-Dyke. She's a former Bush Cheney 04 spokeswoman and former Bill Clinton pollster Bernard Whitman. All right, Jennifer, so the mayor, very, very concerned about being politically correct yesterday, not so much on Monday.
No. I mean, I think the irony was probably lost that he doesn't want anyone to be biased against, of course, unless they're right-wingers who didn't support, like me, didn't support President Obama's health care package. And he wasn't alone. There was a pattern of people over the past couple of days who've been pointing towards anyone from people who are involved with the Tea Party or people who are on the right side of issues who they think, this possibly could have been linked to this bombing. I mean, it is incredibly irresponsible that people would get out and suggest things before they have any of the facts. And beyond that, to downplay this threat, this real terrorist threat that has existed since 9/11, and to try to play politics with it at some level is really just disgusting.
Bernard, what was the mayor thinking? Why even comment on it before we know?
The last thing that anyone should be trying to do is score political points off of what could have been a horrific act. And I think we owe the mayor a great deal of credit for putting together an extraordinary police force under Ray Kelly that has kept New York safe for 8 years. And my thanks go out to the T-shirt vendor and the policeman and the bomb squad that prevented this horrible attack from occurring. Now, having said that, we have to be clear. The mayor never mentioned the Tea Party, and in fact, he said it could have been anything. And unfortunately, in this country,
we do have... Didn't mention the Tea Party, but he did mention those who oppose President Obama's health care bill, the health care bill.
Yes, and unfortunately in this country we do have a history of domestically grown terrorism, whether you talk about the guy flying in a plane into the IRS building, whether you talk about the weather underground.
Why did he mention people who, are animal rights activists? Or, he specifically targeted one group.
He mentioned one element, which has been in the news lately, and said, it could have been anything. And I think to try to
It could have been anything wouldn't have been a problem. It's the fact that he did then mention something.
Megyn, you're being unfair. That's exactly what he did say. He speculated on one group.
I'm asking you about his language. Go ahead, Jennifer. I mean, do I overstate the case? Listen, if he had come out and said it could have been anything, this wouldn't be news. The problem is, he said specifically about this one group, it could be them. It could be people who oppose the health care bill, which, according to the polls, was more Americans than not, all the way up to the vote.
Yeah, a majority of Americans oppose the health care bill. I don't think that puts them, on the list of people that would be likely to engage in this kind of act. I do agree, though, that, this is much too serious of an issue to be politicizing it. The fact is that in this country, over the past 6 months, we have had 3 terrorist attempts, and one of which was successful on this country, here in this country. And what we're doing instead of what we should be doing, which is talking about why we don't have the intelligence that was necessary to try to prevent these attacks from ever even getting to the place that they got to, we have people out there speculating about who it could be. I agree, this was great that the New York City Police Department and others were able to so quickly turn around and capture this person. But the real issue here is how they were even able to get down there, and whether or not we are collecting the kind of intelligence we need to prevent people from being able to get as far as long as he did.
We had that debate an hour ago. I mean, what we're concerned about here is Mayor Bloomberg's comments and others like them, Bernard, because while the mayor may not have singled out Tea Partiers, others did. I mean, there was speculation online at The Nation, which is a left-leaning publication. This guy, Robert Dreyfus, who used to work for Rolling Stone and others, says, look, it may be that this Pakistan-based Taliban has quietly established a Connecticut franchise while we weren't looking, but it seems far more likely to me that the perpetrator of the bungled Times Square bomb plot was either a lone nutjob or a member of some squirrely branch of the Tea Party, anti-government far right. Well, as it turns out, Robert, wrong again.
But, Megyn, I think you would have to agree that I am certain the police and the FBI went through many theories and many leads in this case and had to consider a whole range of different ways that this bomb could have found its way into Times Square.
Right.
Now, fortunately, one lead in one theory did prove out to be true. That's what we should be celebrating. And I also happen to commend the mayor for saying, you know what, we are not going to tolerate in this city, nor should we in this nation, discrimination or racial profiling against Muslims and Pakistanis because
listen,
the
we're all on the
Pakistanis
same page
happen
there.
to be
Nobody wants to
responsible
see
for
that.
this.
Nobody wants. That's not the issue that he said that. It sounds a little hypocritical
But you
when he
can't
targeted
rule
the
out
group.
The investigators were not the people out there speculating. I mean, for the record, the investigators were not the people. The FBI and others in the intelligence community were not the ones out there speculating. They were the ones doing their work, and the reason that they were able to so quickly capture this person is because of the VIN number that was on the underside of the motor.
And so,
while that was happening, exactly, you had other people that are out there throwing out all sorts of allegations.
But that's exactly what police do, is speculate on theories and follow them
Bernard
up.
and Jennifer, thanks so much. Thanks. Well, folks, as I mentioned, thanks to a street vendor, police found out quickly about